Good evening, Easter Camp. How are you? Grip the house up, lights on just a little bit, please. My name's Blue. Haere mai, no mai. Welcome to Easter Camp. It's so good to have you here. We were gutted last year when we couldn't hold camp. Who was gutted? So, who is here for the very first time? Put your hand up. Yeah, awesome. Hey, we've been working really, really hard to prepare a place for you to come, and we hope you really enjoy what we've worked towards. The village is awesome. There's heaps of sports. There's heaps of activities. We want you to have as much fun as you can possibly have in one weekend, and we've been like, we're so happy that you're here. It's wonderful. Every year we have a little theme that we sort of tie the Easter story into, and this theme this year is All In. Now, I want you to sort of have a think. When's the last time you looked at your mates and like in a dare sort of way and said, yeah, you in? You going to do this? Yeah, we're all in? Yeah, just think about it. Yeah, and then you did something dumb, right? Yeah, totally dumb. I had a mate who came over from Aussie. We were talking, and I knew that the theme was all in, but he didn't know the theme was all in. And he said to me, and this is where it starts, you remember that time went? Have you got stories like that? You remember that time went? And I knew the story he was going to talk about because we were just midgets. Like, this is a story. It must have been bad because this is like 45 years ago when TV was black and white and we used to ride horses to school and stuff like that. And we were real young, and me and my brothers and my two mates, we went up to a terrifying, dark, horrible place called the Dark Pines. Dun, dun, dun. And the Dark Pines was a pine forest on a steep, steep hill. And the older I get, the steeper it was. And there's big, thick pine needles there. We'd have pine cone wars. Who has a pine cone war? Yeah, too much fun. And there it was, standing there, sitting there, waiting for us. Somebody had put their rubbish over into the Dark Pines. Shame on them. But they had left a piece of corrugated iron. Old, rusty, corrugated iron. And we looked at that iron and we saw an opportunity for adventure. And we said to each other, what would it be like to ride the iron down the Dark Pines? Now, I'm talking about a pine forest, folks. There's no pathway. And so we got up the top and we got this piece of rusty iron, and literally we all looked at each other in the eye and said, you in? You in? You in? No matter what, right? No matter what. And 1, 2, 3, you know the story, 1, 2, 3, and we all dived on this thing, and we rode the iron down until we crashed. It was inevitable. And we crashed, we hit a tree, we all came off, we laughed at each other, we had scratches, bruises. There was a nail hole in the iron, and it caught my jeans, and I had this big butt flap sort of flash thing. I got in a lot of trouble when I got home. We were all in. It was the first memory I've ever had of all in, you know? So being all in means that you are all in. You are committed to this no matter what. And there's two types of people, I reckon, in this world. There's those who get to the beach and they run at the waves. And they splash and they fall in and they dive. They are just in like 5 seconds flat. And then there's those that are in the waves and they're tippy-toeing in. Each little wave is, you know who you are, right? And then it's like painstaking. It's just like, and then they just pull out again. They just don't go in there. They just like go to the shore and they say, oh, that's enough for me. Who are you? Talk to somebody beside you. What are you? Are you the all-in type or are you the... Cool. Maybe this will have a bearing on your weekend here. A couple of years ago, I took my kids down. We're at a festival here. We took my kids down to Cambridge. Who's from Cambridge? Yeah. And Cambridge has an amazing river, and there's a bank down there. We love to jump off the bank. Who loves jumping off river banks? Yeah. And there was a group down there, a big group from a church that comes to camp, and you might still remember this, some of you here. And we were all jumping in. We jump in off the bank, and we hit the water. We float down the river. We get out of the bank. We come and do the whole thing again and again and again and again. But there was one guy who just couldn't. He was that guy that would run up to the edge and just like, no. And he'd run up, and I said, you 1, 2, 3, and run up, and just no. And so one time when he was standing looking over the edge, I gave him a nudge. It wasn't a nudge, it was more of a push or a shove, and then sort of say, you know, have you ever pushed a mate into the water? Yeah. And what is the first thing they do when their head pops out of the water, other than chase you? They say, I want to do that again. That was so awesome. And that's what it's like. So So being all in means that you have to jump, right? You have to be all in. But we know that what happens when you're there, you run up and then you don't, and you're the nah guy or girl. And so have you ever seen the videos on YouTube where somebody tries to jump off the riverbank and they bail out, but it's too late to bail out, and they literally nail themselves on the bank on the way down? Don't be that. I saw a parachuter on a video, and everybody's bailing out of the back of the plane, and then the parachuter gets there, and he's at the back of the plane like this, and then he sits down, he puts his legs across, and then he's trying to hang out, and somebody just kicks him out like that. He's the nah guy. My favorite is the horse riders, The horse riders, and they're riding, and the horse goes, nah, and just stops like that, and the rider goes off and into the river, and that's my personal favorite. We think that being all in is always winning. It's not. There's tragic stories that rip your jeans sometimes. And I don't want to linger on sports, because not all of us are into sports, but there was, a couple of years ago, I found myself in the Chiro Lounge in the airport, and Chiro Lounge, or Flash, got invited in. And when I'm in there, I see all these big, burly guys, and I think, oh, dude, they're the All Blacks, They're awesome. And the All Blacks, they're all in, and they win, but they didn't win. They just lost the World Cup. And I thought, this would be interesting to see what they can teach me by just watching and observing them. And defeat. And what I noticed was really powerful. It taught me a lot about leadership, actually. Kieran Reid. He was going around all the guys and hugging. This was after they'd come back from a massive defeat. And I watched the way they cared for each other. They hugged one another. They were gentle with each other. They supported one each other. And I thought, you're still all in. You're still a team. It's not just in defeat that we are separated. Doesn't matter what happens. All in means sometimes it doesn't work out. And how are we in those moments? When life doesn't work out, are we still into the thing that we said we'd be part of? Are we still committed no matter what? I think we need to be. See, the funny thing about rivers and jumping in the rivers, if you've ever jumped off the river, there's a point of no return that you get to in the edge, and you can look over the edge and you can run up as far as you want, but there's something that happens when you leave the bank. And literally when you leave the bank, you aren't in control anymore because you're in a free fall, right? And that's this moment that you're hanging there. You can't go back to where you were, and you have to embrace for impact to where you're going, because it's all about the free fall, because you're all in, no matter what. Faith's like that. Being a follower of Jesus is like that. It's all in, no matter what. It's like not halfway. And sometimes taking a leap of faith is like jumping off a riverbank. And you're in that space of abandonment of your control. You abandon yourself to the will of God. And something will change in your life. But see, I've been around the block a few times, and I've noticed that other people don't jump off the bank. Especially when I was your age. I sort of went into the river a little bit, kicked around in the water, got up to my shins, and felt like I had gone for a swim. But I hadn't. At best, I was a shinny dipper. Yeah? You ever been a shinny dipper? Shinny dippers just splash around in the water, call out some stuff, kick some dirt and all that sort of stuff, but they're not really abandoning themselves. They're not all in, no matter what. They're just a little bit in. Yeah? What are you this weekend? You a shinny dipper, or are you a bank jumper? Yeah. Like that guy already. But I think it'll wear out after tonight. What do you reckon? See, we're here for Easter camp. And Easter is a story about the God-man, Jesus. God in flesh, walking around on earth. And when he walked, he actually talked to people. And when he talked to people, he'd say one thing that was just like, oh man, gets me here. He said, come follow me. Come follow me. Now, when you said that, basically you dropped everything that you had. Whatever you were doing, your life, your family, your work, and you followed the God-man. That what it meant to be a follower of Jesus. No matter what. The Easter story, the The story of Jesus' life, his death, his burial, his resurrection is what we're going to talk about this weekend. And there's lots of speakers, and we're going to communicate that really well to you. You're going to have if you don't know the story, it's an amazing story. We're going to share it with you over the weekend. But there's one particular part of the story I just want to share before I leave you. And it's the night before he was crucified. And Jesus is in a garden, and he's praying because he knows what's about to happen to him. And can you imagine if you knew your fate, if you knew what was about to happen, how many times have you known what's about to happen and you say, oh, nah, take that. I don't want to be part of that. I wish I could get out of this. I've overcommitted or whatever. So Jesus was in this tough decision. He's in the garden, and he's having a conversation with God. We call it praying because that's what praying is. It's about a conversation with God. And in the conversation that he's having with God, speaking to God, petitioning God, he said, man, do I have to do this? Is there another way? Do I have to? And see, the thing about prayer is that we often think that prayer is something that we can do. The conversation with God is something we can do so that we can change the mind of God. God, if you only knew what was really going on, if you only knew this, then you would act in this way. And Jesus wasn't quite doing that, but he wanted to see if there was another way. The secret about prayer is that in the conversation with God, actually it's us who changes. And our desire becomes the desire that God desires. It's quite a wonderful process. And that's what happened to Jesus. Is there another way? But if there's not, may your will be done. May your will be done. I'm all in, no matter what. Yeah? There's a lot happening at camp this weekend. There's lights, there's fire pits, there's food, there's bands, there's worship, there's everything that can be great, but it can also be a distraction. They are not the thing that we're here for. The thing that we're here for is to engage in a conversation with Jesus. Yeah? Don't miss that. There's got to be great opportunities for you to explore what kind of person that you are. Are you a shinny dipper? Or are you all in no matter what? There's got to be many chances to do that. So all in for you could mean that you are all into making this the best possible time for your youth group. Yeah? By getting to know everybody, by not leaving anybody out, by including everybody, making it the best possible camp for everybody. It could mean that you're making it the best possible camp for the neighbors next to you, who you're sitting next to. It could mean going to the seminars, learning something. What are your jumping off the back moments that you need to do? You'll know them when they come. And because it will feel like, ooh, yeah, nah. My encouragement to you is be, all in. No matter what. That's our thing this weekend. We're so thankful that you came. We missed you last year. And I'm just going to finish with a prayer because I know it's late and I want you to go and have a good time in the village, and I want to make sure that you got your tent site sorted and you're all dry and comfortable for tonight. So let's just pray. Let's just talk to God. And so, Holy Spirit, we ask you to be with us this weekend. We ask you to sweep through this auditorium and right through the campsite. We ask you to create holy ground and space here, Lord. And Lord, I pray that you move in our lives, that you speak to us, that you converse with us. And Lord, may you give us the courage to abandon ourselves in the free fall of the still in, no matter what. Come follow me moments that you'll present us with. Do your work in your mighty name. Amen. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you in the morning.